Okay, so by now, whatever intro song I've chosen to go with is going to have played. Probably something from some old game, which you'll find out before I will. But this is going to be Vulgarity Gaming's very first podcast, so this episode is very near and dear to my heart. Even though two people, we did actually lose two people for it. They had outside matters to take care of, so we are going to go with the alkaline trio here. 3 people will have gotten that out of the 6 people that listened to it, so that's great. So basically, I'm going to start it off here. My name is Jake. I created this particular little gaming entity that we call Vulgarity Gaming. The biggest thing about creating this in particular was to have something that was professional quality without that professional feel to it. And that's why you'll see a lot of, if you make it over to our website, which I will obviously find ways to provide for you, I will do all the plugins I can. You'll think it's a fucking Glade commercial to allow you to get over there. But you'll see there's a lot of vibrant colors, a lot of things that are just meant to pop out at you, which is, the goal here. And obviously, the thing about gaming companies, they make videos that are very basic, very just review, very unboxing, stuff like that, just what you're used to by now. I mean, we've all been around the block on the internet many times. We know what to look for, and we know what IGN posts, we know what Joystick posts, we know what those places post. I want to find a way to get away from that and do something a little different. So the great thing about having an independent one is we can talk about whatever we want, we can bash whatever we want, and nobody can say fucking shit about it. So we don't have any ties to anybody. We don't need to stay loyal to certain companies. We can say whatever we want about whatever we want. So that's really nice. We've got two other dudes here. We've got Mark and Seth with us today. So Mark, what have you been playing lately, video game wise?
Well, as you know, I'm not as an avid of a gamer as I once was all the time, but I did sit down and play through most of Spec Ops: The Line just recently. I was pleasantly surprised by that. Wasn't 100% impressed with it, but as much as I can be with a shooter, it was nice to break away from the shoot a bunch of brown guys formula and shoot a bunch of white guys instead, so that was neat.
On Spec Ops, do you think part of the problem with not being as wowed by it as you thought you may have been was just years of reading about the hype on how different it was and what to expect, and kind of going into it knowing that we were going to hit this wall of, yeah, that was the big moment?
That was definitely part of it, and that's not to say that the big wow moment that you've all heard about happening halfway through didn't live up to the potential, because honestly, for me, it really did. It was some bone-chilling shit, but just the rest of the gameplay around it made it kind of a chore to play. Like, it was a decent challenge. I'm not big on shooters in general anyway, and third-person shooters just don't usually work for me. So, yeah.
So, how tiring is it to hear Nathan Drake play all these different characters?
Oh, Jesus Christ. How many games is he in now? Like, just this year?
If I pulled up his IMDb list, it would take up more than fucking a novel's worth of just roles that he's played in. The big guy that's coming up over him now, I think, is Troy Baker, who's kind of having that same problem. The good thing with Troy Baker, though, is he's got a lot of range. He can change. Like, he was pegging men, which I don't know how many people played Far Cry 4, judging by the sales numbers, quite a fucking bit. But just from that to Joel from The Last of Us to Revolver Ocelot and Metal Gear Solid, like, his voice range is incredible.
Don't forget Snow from Final Fantasy 13. The unforgettable Final Fantasy 13.
The unforgettable Final Fantasy. So, Seth, Metal Gear Solid 5. Been playing that, right?
Dude, yes. It is so fucking good.
Amazing. My favorite series. The thing with Metal Gear Solid 5, as I actually informed you earlier because you were not aware, they cut out about 40 hours of that game. So the game that you're playing is completely unfinished. Have you got to online yet?
No, I have not. I'm going to wait until I actually beat the main, story and then the side missions and all that before I actually play online.
You're kind of an achievement whore, right?
Just a little bit, yeah.
So you're going to be 100%ing the game, you say? You're telling me that right now? You're going to be 100%ing it?
I highly doubt that.
So do I. that game, getting an S rank and doing all the side missions. The thing with that is a lot of the missions themselves, they have objectives that are question marks. So having objectives that are question marks, you have to figure out what you're supposed to do, and that could be a real pain in the ass without YouTube.
And just let alone trying to get an S rank on your first try going to do it is a pain in the fucking ass. And like you don't know what you're fucking doing. So fuck that.
And this is your first game in the series, right? That you've actually played.
Yes.
It's a good one to start on. It's a good one to start on for sure. It's not the best in the series story wise. Now gameplay wise, absolutely, it's the best in the series.
Absolutely confusing story, but the gameplay is fucking phenomenal.
Well, you started into the series 25 years in, so you know that could be part.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Which is the best one story wise?
Well, I mean, the one that wraps it all together very well is Metal Gear Solid 4. My favorite, for nostalgic reasons, of course, is always going to be Metal Gear Solid 1. I think that really paved the way for cinematic game telling, and that paved the way for just the art form to take on a novelistic view versus just, hey, let's make these controls work right, and let's make... I mean, it's still a fun game, no doubt, and people will complain about that nowadays. They'll say, games have too much story. It's all story, no gameplay anymore, which...
Fuck that.
Right, and the games with QuickTime events... that can get a little like where they're just a story with QuickTime events. I can understand that, but it's not like the game doesn't advertise as something different. It doesn't go and say, this is the most action-packed video game with the best mechanics you'll ever play. It tells you from the beginning that's what it's going to be. And like with your Heavy Rain and your Beyond Two Souls, and then I think you and I have actually played through Indigo Prophecy. So that would be, that they tell you from the beginning, it's not going to be this platforming or this action-packed thing. It's going to be story-based. So, I mean, I don't see a problem with it. I think Metal Gear Solid gets a lot of flack for that, but its fan base is undying. So, I mean, similar to, would you say, with Final Fantasy almost, with the amount of cutscene?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, especially newer entries. And I think there's definitely a place for that in gaming. It's like, it's not all, it doesn't have to be 100% interactive all the time. There is a place, especially nowadays, where the presentation, the graphics are getting so fucking beautiful. It would almost be a crime not to include some of that. And like you said, games like Heavy Rain and Indigo Prophecy, those games are phenomenal. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, you're just basically, it's like an 8-hour series of QuickTime events. Like I spent like 5 minutes at the beginning of the game fucking brushing my character's teeth. It was a little bit ridiculous, sure. Yeah. But at the same time, you're building the story, and it's like an interactive movie. It's fucking awesome.
It is super awesome, and those are some of my favorite games to play because they're the most memorable. Now, of course, you have your indie studios who are trying to go back to the old ideology, like games are games. They're meant to be played, and that's it. There are no cutscenes. There's no... they have the story, but the most of the story an NES game told was in its manual. So... I mean, that makes sense to why some people want to go back to that traditional. You're always going to have the hipsters of art that it's always better when it was first coming out. But I mean, there's a place for both. And as we said, it's not like they false advertise what you're getting with these games. But I actually have here something that I did not tell you guys about. Are you guys familiar with Jelly Belly's Bean Boozled game?
No,
I am not.
Perfect. So that works out for me. So basically what this is it's a little spinning wheel. Okay, so you spin it, and it'll tell you it's the possibility of 2 flavors. So you're going to have either peach or barf, black licorice or skunk spray, canned dog food or chocolate pudding, buttered popcorn or rotten egg, blueberry or toothpaste. And the list actually goes on here. So I'm going to actually have you guys play this and between the two of you and see which flavors that you get here. And hopefully you don't get the bad ones because
I get the bad ones.
What a nice surprise. Is this like your first sponsor? Like this your first plug or something? Or?
Yeah, Jelly Belly is actually my first sponsor.
There's so many.
So many.
Show me now.
All right, so I'm going to spin it for you here and see what we get.
Oh, damn.
So the first one, being my favorite one, is either going to be buttered popcorn or rotten egg. So I'm going to hand these over to you guys now and see which ones you get. So you each get one of each color here. Well, not each color, the same color, but
choose wisely.
it's hard to get these right because one of them's moldy cheese or caramel corn. I got to make sure I get the right one. All
And
right.
in the tradition of angry video game nerd, we have Rolling Rock to chase it down with.
Absolutely. Now, you guys have to swallow them. So I'm glad that you do have some.
I'm not gonna fucking chew on them.
True. All right, so there's that one. That one's a little beat up for me squishing it, trying to figure out what it was, but that doesn't work. All right,
I will give you
There we go, Seth.
a 3-second count here. And 3, 2, 1, go for it. Which one we got? Which one we got, guys?
I got the
think I
good
know which one
one.
Mark got. Which one would that be, buddy? Let's take a drink.
Good.
Oh my fucking god. Which one did you get, Seth?
I think you got butter popcorn.
Yeah, it was the butter popcorn.
Which one did
good.
you get, Mark?
So good.
Oh, what'd you say? I was rotten egg.
Yep, that would be it.
I honestly don't think I've ever tasted a rotten egg before, but now I have, I guess. So appreciate it.
Of course, man. The next one here, we'll give you a little bit of a break because I've tasted all of these, both good and bad. So I'll give you one that even if you get it, it is not as bad. So let's go with juicy pear or booger.
That's not so bad.
I'll say booger.
All right,
so
It's still in my mouth, dude.
Oh, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away.
They linger.
All right, so this is juicy pear or booger. Feel free to enjoy that. And go.
Oh my god.
So Seth got the bad one, but I'm pretty disappointed in this juice. It still tastes bad too.
It's like an extra fucking booger.
Pretty boogery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty snotty.
the
pear
pear.
The pear tastes like the pear tastes it tastes like a pear, but it tastes like a pear that I might have dug out of like
Yeah,
an
well, mine tastes
elephant's
like a fucking
asshole or
booger.
something.
Dang it.
Well, that's what it's supposed to remind you of, so that's good.
When my 10 years old picking my nose and eating my boogers again.
Well, hey, if you did it
Yeah.
before, you're good.
But
All right. So let's move on here to. Let's do an easy one. This one will clean your palate for the next one. This one's just blueberry or toothpaste. That's all. And honestly, I've had both. And
All right.
toothpaste is just toothpaste.
Now is it like the Colgate, like dentist prescribed toothpaste, or is it like the kids' Crest, like bullshit
it's a good toothpaste.
It's a toothpaste flavoring in a jelly bean.
Oh, all right. Well, bottoms up. Well, it's not blueberry.
Blueberry.
That's pretty good though.
All right, so mint berry crunch.
Blueberry toothpaste.
I'm okay with that.
So Seth, did you get blueberry or toothpaste?
Blueberry.
Not bad. It's blueberry. It's what it should be. All right. Now here comes a whammy. All right. So we're only going to do a couple more here. I'm not going to do the full lineup just for sake of time. Well, I'll hold that one off for a moment. We'll get to that one.
For now, the grand finale.
Yeah, that will be our grand finale. Okay, let's go with peach or barf. How about that? How about we do that one? Sounds good to me. What about you?
Sounds fair.
Yeah.
To be fair, peach is pretty good. So I'm gonna cross my fingers for you.
Bottoms up. Ah.
Is it peach?
Fuck no.
Did we both get barred? That's fucking horrific. Oh god! It started out. It tasted like pizza sauce. Oh no! It's stuck in my teeth. I can't get it out.
Good. So started out like pizza sauce, and then went from there.
No, just it tastes like syrup, bro.
It's still in my mouth, man.
Good. That's good.
Can't even taste my Rolling Rock.
I know, right? It lingers. It stays in your tongue. Like it's like permeates.
Terrible.
Oh, bummer. You both got the bad.
Jesus Christ.
50-50
You
chance.
purposely did that.
Oh, I wish I could tell you which ones they were because I'd give you them on purpose if I could. Okay, so we're gonna do 3 more. I'm gonna skip the coconut and baby wipes because it's meh. I'm gonna skip the chocolate pudding and canned dog food.
Oh god.
We're gonna skip.
No.
I'm gonna skip the lime and lawn clippings. So we've got 3 more here total. The next one we've got here. Granted, I could find 2 of them. I only see 1 in here. Okay, I've got. Yeah, okay, I've got 2 here. So this one's Tutti Frutti. Oh, you'll taste it forever. Tutti Frutti or Stinky Socks?
Sticky socks. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yup.
Yup,
too. Oh, you know what? Wait. That might be. No, it's a sock. Oh my god.
Did both of you get socks?
No.
Was it even good at fruit?
It was alright.
Okay.
I mean, after vomit, you know.
Right.
That's
You
vomit.
vomit. Fuck that.
I do different levels of torture. It's okay. All right. So the second to last one here is going to be. Granted that I can, because they distribute these very unevenly, so you'd think they'd give, like 6 of each and then be done, but no, they just throw a random.
Your job's so fucking hard, dude. It's so fucking hard. I feel bad for you.
It's the hardest trying to pick these out for you. It's like Russian roulette. I just load the bullets.
Oh.
All right, so this one is caramel corn or moldy cheese. So
No.
I'm gonna guess that one of you is gonna get moldy cheese.
Buddy, hold on. I don't know if I can do this.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Oh, Seth took the first bite. You have
It's not moldy cheese.
Oh fuck, you didn't get moldy cheese. So based on the law of averages. See, it's fucked up too, because you can't. It's not like normal food. You can't smell it. You can't use your sense of smell to discern what you're about to eat. It's just. All right. 1, 2, 3. Fuck.
So did you get moldy cheese?
I think so.
You know if it was caramel corn. All right, so last one, and then we can move on to the actual games. Thought this would be a little fun addition without telling you.
Actual games.
So this next one.
This is a game of torture.
This is the Game of Thrones here. So it's either going to be black licorice, which I hate anyway, or skunk spray.
No. Oh, look at it. It's fucking.
It's
black like Jake's heart. Oh my god. I got scared. I can't swallow it fast enough. It's caught in my throat.
You can smell
You
it
can
in your
smell
nose.
it in your nose, right?
Yes,
in your mouth, but you can smell it.
Oh god.
Oh no. Oh dear. One of you needs to go get me another beer.
take a little short admission here while he refuels on beer so that he doesn't vomit all over the place. What'd you guys think of the game?
Fuck that.
But you, Mark, what did you think of our little Bean Boozle game here?
Fuck that and fuck you.
We will be right back. We're back, and they've had some time to reflect upon the Jelly Bean game. What flavor was the worst for you, Mark?
I'm having a hard time thinking after that. It was definitely the skunk spray. That was the most harrowing flavor. Absolutely.
It sticks around in your senses, like it's in your mouth, obviously, but it works its way up through your nasal cavity. You just breathe it. It owns you.
It's filling my skull.
Oh, it is, and it will. Seth, for you, the absolute worst flavor that you just had to endure.
Barf and skunk spray. Actually, they're all fucking terrible, the ones I had.
Yeah, you didn't get very lucky.
No, Mark didn't get very lucky.
True.
Mark got
Well, I
fucked.
think you fucked both of us. I think you picked out all the fruit ones.
It's like you knew.
I gave him all a little nibble first and made sure that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I would have done that. That would have been funnier, but I didn't. So we actually thought of a few new flavors in the future since Jelly Belly is now my official sponsor. We're thinking maybe your stepfather's semen or your aunt's period blood.
Really, a lot of ways you could go with it. I mean,
your stepsister's miscarriage. You know, whatever flavor that Jelly Belly wants to endorse in the future, just hit me up. I'll be sure to trademark that for you.
Mark's asshole.
Mark's asshole. That'll be the top selling flavor.
probably have the cleanest asshole out of anyone here. I mean,
What would make you say
What?
that?
Well, doubt it.
Anyway, apart from clean assholes and lack thereof, there were a lot of games that came out in 2015, so it is kind of hard to pick one of your favorite ones. And honestly, since I'm a little biased when it comes to this because Metal Gear Solid came out in 2015, but I am going to surprise myself even by saying my favorite game of 2015 was The Witcher 3. I thought that was just, I was not expecting much, and maybe that's why, because after Metal Gear Solid 4 came out in 2008, and then Metal Gear Solid 5 didn't make its way. I mean, I know there was Portable Ops and Peace Walker in between that, but the official release of a new game did not come out until 7 years later. That was a little tough to wait for, but it was worth the wait. I did think it was very good. I wish Konami would have let him finish it. They're fucking assholes, but they didn't. So, but my favorite game. Hey, by the way, how'd that burp taste? That burp tastes like a jelly bean?
Just like barf.
Perfect. Okay, good. Well, I could do that on its own, so no worries. My favorite game was The Witcher 3. I was not expecting a lot from that game, to be honest. The past entries in the series, I know that they did well amongst fans, but I didn't care for The Witcher 2. And it was just kind of, the combat felt clunky, the controls felt clunky. It just wasn't my game. And then The Witcher 3 came out, and I was told over and over again, I frequent GameStops because that's the kind of person I am, and I was told over and over again by employees, you got to check The Witcher 3 out. You got to check The Witcher 3 out. And to be perfectly honest with you, GameStop employees are not normally my go-to source for opinions on games, considering how 90% of them will praise Call of Duty out the ass, and it does not deserve it.
Fuck Call of Duty.
Exactly. Fuck Call of Duty. So, and a lot of them will be that, and I don't know if that's just because they get brainwashed by their own marketing teams, because Call of Duty will sponsor the fuck out of GameStop and just go nuts with it. And that's all. When you work inside a GameStop, coming from someone who's worked inside of a GameStop, that is all you will hear around the first 3 months of a Call of Duty being announced. That's all you hear on the TV behind you over and over and over again. Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty. And it's terrible, and I fucking hate it. So, but The Witcher 3 just, it's a massive world, hours and hours and hours of gameplay. Its first DLC was good, extremely hard. Seth is actually still stuck on the Toad battle, which was really, really difficult.
Don't even get me started, dude.
So hard. But I just thought it was amazing. The characters were fun. The story was good. The gameplay was awesome. The replayability. His fingers smell like boogers. Still, boogers and barf. Do your fingers actually smell like the
What the hell has he done to me?
my fingers usually smell like barf, but we won't talk about that.
Anorexia. Actually, no, that would be bulimic, wouldn't it? Bulimia. Because Mark vomits, and when he eats, he just throws it up. And
I can see that.
It's actually secondhand. Believe me, I put my finger down other people's throats.
Oh!
It's a funny little prank that I do sometimes, you know.
You're kind of like Dr. Kevorkian of bulimia.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to derail your diatribe on The Witcher with my vomit talk.
No.
I just had to share.
No, it's absolutely understandable. So I know you don't keep up with the new because you do like so many older games, and you're kind of that guy who just kind of sticks to what he knows with games. And so what game did you play last year that you spent the most time on, Mark?
Spent the most time on. I'm gonna have to say probably my favorite game of 2015 would have to be Splatoon. I'm just kidding.
That's a big motherfucker.
I don't know. I spent let me think. Spent a fair amount of last year playing through the beginning of last year, playing through Final Fantasy IV again. It's one of my favorites in the series, and it's one that I haven't picked up since 2010, maybe. Every 5 years, I like to go through the cycle. You know, start one, work my way through.
Did you see that they're bringing Final Fantasy VI to phones, so you can play it on your iPhone?
I did see that, actually. I'm very excited because 6 is my absolute favorite Final Fantasy of all time. A lot of people say 7 is the best one, and they're wrong, because 6 is unequivocally the best one. 7 is close second, maybe third, but 6 is the god king of Final Fantasy games. Sir.
6 is the one where the whole world kind of gets changed about halfway through, right?
Well, spoiler alert, yeah. But yeah, halfway through the game, like usually, you know, like usually the apocalypse either happens at the beginning of the game or the end of the game. Final Fantasy VI is the only game where the apocalypse fucking literally happens halfway through the game, no matter what you do. It's awesome. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, that is a good point, actually, because when they do post-apocalyptic titles, you're going into it knowing this apocalypse is going to happen, or the end of the game comes out, you get to the end, you've worked up all this juxtaposition, you get to the rising action, and then the climax happens, and it has nothing to do with changing the environment at all. And then as you kind of get to your resolution of the game, and a few games have done the twist end where like everything is just dead or everything's over, blah, blah, blah. Undertale kind of being one of those. In a way where it does, and I'm not giving away the ending by saying that, it does something very different with its end depending on how you play. And that was a phenomenal game. That's actually up there in my top 5 of last year for sure, maybe even top 3.
Yeah, I was interested in that game.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I would highly recommend checking it out. It's only $10 on Steam, and any computer can run it. You can run that thing on a fucking calculator. It's awesome. Seth, what game of last year now, even though it seemed like it went by so damn fast, what game of last year did you spend the most time of?
Oh, that's so hard because I switched back and forth from a few.
Well, which one was your favorite?
Definitely The Witcher 3.
It's a good choice. What about The Witcher 3 did you like?
Dude, everything. Just the gameplay, how long it was. And, it was kind of tough even if you put it on the easiest difficulty setting.
It's a super hard game.
Also, Fallout 4 is really good, too.
And that is interesting to me that with Fallout, something that was so highly regarded by everybody and waited for, that when it came out, while we were all very, very happy to play it and we all loved it, thought it was amazing, I don't exactly think it was what it could have been. Now, when you look at and the reason I say that, do I think the game's amazing? Of course I do. I think Bethesda can do no wrong.
Yeah.
But when you look at the difference from Morrowind to Oblivion to Skyrim, they're massive changes. Skyrim less so from Oblivion, but I mean, it changes enough to where it really improves upon the game feel. Fallout 4 felt like Fallout 3. I had just been waiting for more Fallout 3 for so long.
Yeah, I can see that. Exactly.
That I was okay with it. And a lot of times people will confuse new content for new graphics, but here even Did it look better? Yeah. Fallout 3 looked like absolute shit. Like, even when it came out on last-gen consoles now, it looked like crap. No denying that. And with the technology that they have out now, like with The Witcher 3 being a huge open world, I would say The Witcher 3's world as big as Fallout 4's world, and it looked so much better. It just looked so much better graphically. And I don't know if that just comes from... I mean, I know it's part of the engine that they're using, but I don't know. I just think The Witcher 3 has just as much content. Maybe not just as much, but... because the variety for The Witcher 3, while it was really good and a lot of the quests were very different, Fallout 4's quests... I'm actually going to backtrack on what I just said. Fallout 4 doesn't have a ton of variety either. The quests are...
You kind of feel like you're doing the same thing over and over for some of the quests. It's just like, okay.
You kind of do, and we don't even need to get talking about the settlement quest, where every fucking...
Oh my god.
Every time you turn in one of those, it's... Well, there's another side.
Hey, go check out this over here.
Oh god, it's so annoying. But yeah, The Witcher 3, so The Witcher 3, and Final Fantasy 4.
How do you feel about Battlefront? Battlefront.
It's another honorable mention. I think that the amount of flack that Battlefront has gotten is undeserving. I think that the game itself is very fun to play. If the game had been titled Star Wars Battlefront 3, I would understand where people are. It was not titled Battlefront 3. It was titled Battlefront. It was a reboot. Now, you could also say that, well, okay, if they're going to reboot it, why would they subtract features? They didn't add any features. They subtract. Well, one, that original game, they didn't make that game. So taking that game and making it exactly the same and then adding upon it would be stealing. Two, they only wanted to use the original trilogy, which was fine. Although I think that they could have still used 4, 5, and 6. I could see them staying away from 7, but I don't know why they wouldn't. They could still use, not 4, 5, and 6, my apologies, 1, 2, and 3. Fucking backwards chronologically, but... I don't know. I think it's a great game. I have had a lot of fun with it. I spent many hours on it. I know that you've spent many hours on it. That's probably the game you spent the most time on, honestly.
Yeah, I'm rank 50 now, so...
So you've got that badass black stormtrooper suit?
Oh, dude, you know it. Hell yeah.
That's crazy, man, that amount of time it takes to do that. We're going to take another quick break right here, and then when we come back, we will actually get on to the main focus of our topical discussion, and that will be virtual reality. And we are back here to talk about the actual main topic, which is virtual reality. And so I have been waiting for virtual reality. I think we all have, probably since we were little kids, seeing movies and TV shows and books that cover it, and kind of think it was just kind of, near off in the future. But the way technology has gone lately with our society, it's just at a rapid rate. Now, we all know who attempted virtual reality first, which was Nintendo. They failed terribly with the Virtual Boy. It released about 40 games before it was retired. Took about a year before it was taken off shelves and became like $2. So the problem with the Virtual Boy, and Mark, you've actually gotten to see one as well.
Oh yeah,
terrible. So the problem with the Virtual Boy was that it wasn't virtual reality at all. It was just black and red, headache-inducing bullshit that just had no virtual reality to it at all. It had a few games on it. There was a boxing game where you kind of felt like you're playing virtual reality. The controller was annoying. The stand that it came on was annoying. Everything about the Virtual Boy was just a disaster. You had this big charging pack. It wasn't portable at all like it claimed to be. It was a mess. And that, like I said, it only was kind of like the original Game Boy. It came out not too long after that, believe it or not, where it only had at least the Game Boy had those monotone green colors. So you can still kind of see. Red and black is not a good platform for coloring on games, especially ones that attempted to be 3D looking. So every one of the lines was red and the background was just black. It just looked terrible. But so the main proprietor of virtual reality, as I'm sure everyone knows by now that's into gaming at all, is the Oculus Rift. This got announced, a couple years ago now. Developers had kits to it to make games on. And it's just been shown off here and there with different platforms, and people were using it. Developers were even using it to do like a tour through museums, like the Louvre would have a tour. So if you can't actually make your way to France, you could put on the virtual reality headset, the Oculus Rift, and you would find yourself inside of one. So the cool thing about this headset is, from what the people say that have actually used it, it's not incredibly uncomfortable. It's not headache-inducing. It sounds good. It's got a built-in stereo that goes over your ears, so it sounds nice. I have heard problems of overheating here and there, but it hasn't been like a huge deal. And you can even watch, like, they've suggested platforms for it for like UFC, putting a camera up in the UFC ring, like watching boxing matches, like the very best seat in the house. Now, this was announced recently, available for pre-order for the public, and it was announced for $600, which people are freaking out about. People all over the internet were freaking out about that. Mark, do you find that to be an unreasonable price for something that's this sounds like a loaded question, a biased question, but for something that's basically a leap into the future?
Yeah, it sounds pretty salty. I mean, what was the PS3 was about that much when it first came out, was it not?
It was $600, and they got laughed out of E3 because of it.
Right. And my thing is, I am still incredibly skeptical about VR. And I mean, if they're expecting you to pay $600 for something like sight unseen for something we haven't even seen really in action, like no percent of the population has gotten their hands on it besides a very select few people. So I personally couldn't see myself dropping $600 on it. Maybe if it was tried, proven, and everything, but just the technological things that you have to overcome in order to provide a good experience with this sort of thing is just I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't really consider it, maybe, but I mean, you have to have orders of magnitude more power than you would on like a normal desktop setup with a computer. Like I think I read somewhere that I don't know, the normal desktop runs around 60 frames per second. Isn't that about right?
That is correct.
And I think that the bare minimum for virtual reality would have to be about 90, is what I've heard, just because of how close is your face and how immersed you are into it, in order to not have a sort of just an epileptic fuckfest. So I would definitely have to see it in action. I'd have to be wowed pretty hard to drop $600 on something like that.
And that's a good point. The desktop thing, the average computer is not going to work on. It's not going to work on your Walmart computer. It's not even going to work on what you think is a decent gaming computer. It's not going to work well on. You are going to have you're going to spend big dollars, but a lot of people that are really big into this, that are going to be buying one of these, have already invested into a very nice gaming computer that is going to be able to run it. Now, the thing is, too, is $600. Okay, so we've talked about, you mentioned that the PS3 was that. But the only thing we had seen on the PS3 were demos as well. The only thing that we had seen was YouTube videos and promises from people. And people still bought that. Now, granted, not as much as the 360. But this right now doesn't have any competition. This is its own thing. Now, it's going to have later Sony's VR. They have knockoff headsets that they're going to be coming out with. But the main one, that it doesn't have a main competitor yet until Sony releases it. There are several developers working on games for it. There's no way that it's going to be lacking content. What's cool about it is that it does come with an Xbox One controller, which that's $60 right there. So let's just say that in free content, and it comes with 2 games, one being Eve Valkyrie, which if you ever played Eve before, it's okay, and then Lucky's Tale, which from the looks of it seems to be kind of a cartoonish squirrel platformer, which I know it's not going to be nearly funny as Conquer, but that's the only thing I could think of to compare it to. I don't know how well a 3D platformer game is going to be in VR personally, but I've seen a lot of things that they've introduced, a lot of different games that they've modeled around it. I'm sure you guys have played. I believe you actually watched me play through Outlast. Now that game,
yes,
that game on VR.
Oh my god.
No.
Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And the funny thing is about a year ago, they released all these videos of people playing survival horror games, Outlast among them, where they were running into the issue where people were taking the headset and throwing it off of their head because they would get too afraid while they were playing. Something would jump out at them, and they would literally chuck this couple $1,000 headset, and at the time, because it's development, just right onto the ground, smashing it. So that could be, I could see that being an issue. Now, they don't have to take fault for that, but I could see that being an issue. The main thing that sets us apart from the Virtual Boy, which is hilarious to compare it to the Virtual Boy, is that it has a head strap that goes onto your head, so you don't have to sit there with it on its own stand while you try to use it. Now, $600, yeah, I could see that being it is for the layman, for someone who isn't a hardcore gamer, that is a big price. But this thing has no short amount of pre-orders. It had abundance of success on its Kickstarter campaign when it was first announced. They showed off video after video of being used. Now, the only problem with trying to show off virtual reality demos and trying to get you hyped for it is that you're not watching them in virtual reality. So you can watch all these videos that you want, all these trailers, all these different applications for it, but if you're not using the headset, it's just another video. So the thing I'm most excited for is that I honestly feel that if they can get this right, this is going to be the next step in gaming. A lot of people are, not a lot, but I've seen several people that aren't super thrilled about the direction of VR going that way. They are video games going that way. Even they're fine with the traditional games, but how long are you going to be fine with traditional games? Like, I know this medium, this art form has advanced faster than any other art form. Movies, the way that they look now took 100 years to get there. Video games took 20 years from where they were looking with little pixelated men to now. I mean, the PS1 to Xbox One to PS4 to PC, the difference is crazy. And the PS1 came out, 93, so it took them 23 years to get, to where they are now, and they're ahead of where they are now. They just release it in slow doses for money, of course. But as far as the VR goes, I am very excited about it. I really just think that this is going to be the next step in gaming. I think it's going to be the next thing that we're looking for that's going to add a nice change to it. Whether or not it's going to cause me a headache, I don't know yet. And then the other question is, well, what games, are going to work on it? What games have they tried? What games are they going to attempt to try? There are over 100 games being developed for VR right now. So many, 17% of all games being created right now are virtual reality games. That sounds like a small number, but it's...
It sounds like a lot for a console that isn't even out yet, or application, whatever you want to call it. But
it is its own console, really. It's not, people are viewing it as a peripheral, and it's not. This is its own console that you plug into Steam, that you download certain things for. One of the games that is being announced for work on VR is, have you seen anything on No Man's Sky?
Yes, I have.
So that's going to be something that they're really developing for virtual reality. And if you've seen anything on No Man's Sky, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Looks like it's going to be an amazing game. And that, for virtual reality, I could really see working out. Anything first person, I could see just being a huge success.
Well, it almost have to be first person if it's VR, wouldn't it? I mean, a VR third person game would just sort of defeat the purpose, I would almost think.
Yeah, and I would agree with you, and that's why I'm saying, like, why is it coming with a third-person action platformer? I don't know that, but some of the other platforms and other ideologies they went behind it. They've got a game called Back to Dinosaur Island, which is kind of like a first-person, which, of course, it's kind of, an ill point to make now. First-person is what it should be. Where you just walk around Jurassic Park, you interact with dinosaurs, and then, of course, they're going to have some combat in there as well. But just the concern for me would be that they have to scale down the graphics a little bit to make it compatible with VR. The program that's going to go behind it. Another game that they're doing is Rock Band VR, which, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to look down at your guitar while you play, you can do that in real life. You have a physical peripheral. It's not like you're in the game just, without one. So that's something you can do in real life. Another one being that, and a lot of games that are being developed for it are by Crytek, which Crytek developed the Cry engine, so games like Crysis and Far Cry run off the Cry engine, which the Cry engine has always been known for something that has just been beautiful. Extremely hard to run on PC, though. A lot of Cry engine games are very, very, very difficult to run. But they're developing a game called The Climb, where it's for what I can tell, you're out in just like this tropical area, and it's similar to where you watch movies about like Mount Everest and stuff. How they're climbing up the side of the mountain, they're running into different. It's supposed to be what they consider a thrill ride, possibly the worst nightmare for those with vertigo. So that's a nightmare for a very cornered market. If for those of you who have vertigo, look out because this game's coming. But my most excited, and you know what, to be perfectly honest, I'm not even a huge fan of horror games, but my most the genre I'm most excited for on this is the horror genre, for sure. I could just see them going crazy with scaring the shit out of you. Like you guys have played the demo for Silent Hills at the time, PT.
Oh yeah. Well, I barely made it through it on a fucking TV, just sitting across the room. If I was immersed in that world, I don't even know if I could do it.
Jareth, yeah, exactly. That's part of the thing, is that they're concerned with people being too afraid, almost
giving people PTSD from fucking playing video games and shit.
Exactly.
Which is a good problem to have, I think. Like, if you're worried about people being too immersed in your game, then that's pretty cool. And I think that's just the thing. I think that the companies that are making these games should be marketing them to the hardcore gamer. They shouldn't be too worried about the casual gamer, because the people who are most excited about this are people who are entrenched in the world of gaming and they've been following it, and they want that next step, and they should be marketing, trying to come up with games that appeal to that market, because those are the people that have stuck with it all this time.
Exactly, and that's who it's marketed for. So it's not marketed for the casual gamer. It's not marketed for someone, like I said, that's just bought an HP laptop at Sam's Club. It's not marketed for them. It is marketed for the people who have been following it for years, are really, really excited about it, and who are just someone that games are not a hobby to them. Games are, I hate to say games are life. Ball is life, but games are life for them. And that's what it's marketed towards. Now there's another game in development called Marble Madness, which I could see them making some pretty cool puzzle games, but having a marble-esque game where all you can do is really turn the world, I don't know if they're really utilizing what they need to be.
Marble Madness, isn't that one of those like games that ships with fucking PCs, like Pinball and Solitaire or something like that? Like, isn't
it? Might as well be.
Right.
Because there's really nothing to it. Now, what I'm sure that they're doing this, and I'm sure it's been confirmed. Another great game, and honestly, I hate calling it a game because I feel about this, but it would be Minecraft on the Oculus.
Ooh, no.
Yes.
Awful.
Fuck off, both of you. Minecraft is life.
Shit.
It would be perfect for that kind of thing. Any kind of open world exploratory endeavor would be perfect for this, I think.
It would. I just am not a fan of Minecraft at all, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying that, but it's just, for what it is, being a great creative platform, being a wonderful 3D Lego tool, I think it's amazing. People don't play Minecraft to survive and look out for creepers. People play it to build things, and obviously if I said that wasn't cool, I would be some type of fucking artistic sociopath, but I just think that Minecraft itself is not much of a game. I think it's a very great creative platform. But being able to use that in VR, I cannot deny that would be something that would be really cool. I'm just thinking of games in first person, like in general. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of shooters, but I mean, you got to think about the peripherals that will later come out. If this is a success, and I'm pretty sure we all know it will be, the only way I can see it not being a success is if a lot of people got headaches, if the system overheated, if there was a lot of flaws in it, then I could see it being a failure. But with the way that it's going right now, the amount of backing it's got, and the amount of testers that have been working on making sure that this is refined for years now, I don't see it not being a success. But just like imagine later on down the line, you're playing Call of Duty 12, and you've got your virtual reality headset on. A grenade is blowing up behind you. You're looking all around, and when you turn your head, you're actually looking at the people that are coming after you. You're looking up and down. You're looking down. You see, your magazine clip just fell to the ground. You're out of ammo. I feel like it's going to take the experience that, and my favorite part about video games as they are from that they are and how interactive it is, it's just going to bring it to a whole new level.
Well, see, that's a good point. And when you talk about shooters like that, you're getting into online play with this application, and that's another big step, because another big thing that factors into the nausea thing you're talking about is the whole latency that sort of, I don't know, it almost comes, like, everyone's familiar with lag when you're playing online games. It's the most frustrating thing in the world, and when when you got a headset strapped to your head like this, it's not just frustrating, it's downright, like, nauseating. You're going to have a puke fest on your hands because lag in your face is just going to be impossible to deal with. So they're definitely going to have to work that out to the point where it's not even an issue anymore.
And the thing with this is a lot of people are going to just assume that it's for games, and I could honestly see people in colleges using it to teach you how to do surgery. Setting up, hey, this person needs a triple bypass, put on this headset and show me how you would do it. Now, that's going to take time on developing hand peripherals, because they haven't really announced peripherals outside of the headset. They've announced the headset, of course, but right now you play with the controller. I could see down the line them making almost what the PlayStation Move tried to do and actually making it work. You're holding two different surgical tools in your hand that are virtual reality. You're holding, and go back to the games, you're holding an AK-47 peripheral in your hand. That could change competitive gaming. That could change the way we view storytelling. That could change everything. But the challenge coming with developing games for that is, before, the developers had to make sure that it ran. That's step one, making sure the game runs, make sure it looks nice, making sure everything's polished. But now giving the player complete and utter control to look in any direction at any time, being able to go and actually have to make everything interactive. Like when you look at a Grand Theft Auto 5, it still blows my mind to this day is how they made that entire open world not have any loading at all. Like anytime you go inside of somewhere, leave somewhere, start anything, there's no loading, which I don't know how. I mean, I guess when you have 1,000 people work on a game for 5 years, that helps. But developers are going to have to run into some challenges of making sure their worlds are interactive enough. Like, now they can say, okay, yeah, you can't touch that, you can't go in there, whatever. But if I have a headset on, I'm looking down at something, why can't I touch it? Why can't I grab it? It's right there. And if I'm in this mood where I want to be immersed in this game, it's going to be a real challenge for them to make sure that they don't lose the immersion by having invisible walls or by having an object that you can clearly see and get to, but you can't reach. So having that be that way, that could be something in itself. Mark, what game would you like to see out of all the games that you played? Which one would you like to be in virtual reality?
I definitely agree with you that the horror genre is one of the most. That's something that I would absolutely like to see the most. Shooter games, but if they brought it to that platform and they made it work, like, could you imagine being inside Saving Private Ryan? Just as like,
oh yeah,
even if it's like, you're in the perspective of like a war correspondent, you don't even have a gun. That would even almost like heighten the tension. Like you're still trying to survive in a war zone, and just being able to walk around that sort of thing. It could be it really could be the next step in storytelling, and it would almost. It could almost take on a more cinematic quality, because you'd have all these things like that you could just see that, and you can move around this world of this living world that these people have created, and you could see all these things, and it would almost be like play in and of itself, just moving around. You wouldn't even need to. You get what I'm saying, kind of.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Completely,
man. And that's where people with skills
and
in
developing
developing
are
are
going
going
to
to
come
come
in.
in.
As
As we were talking about earlier,
going back to like Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls and all that. If that was in virtual reality, can you imagine some of those scenes in Heavy Rain in virtual reality?
Right, I'm thinking along those lines, and like like you're just out on the battlefield or wherever you're at. You're in the middle. You're in this haunted house, dealing with all this tension. You don't need all these extremely deep gameplay. Well, not that couldn't have a place in it, but just the very act of moving around this virtual world that these people have created is it's plenty to hold the attention, and it could provide an experience like nothing anyone's ever seen.
And that's why I'm not too turned off by the price point. Do I think people are going to wait a year until it goes down? Yeah. Do I think it's going to go down in a year? Probably not. It's really going to depend on the success of the game itself. And like you're saying, it doesn't have to have these huge gameplay mechanics that are just crazy and different. It's being the where they become advantageous here is being starting on a brand new platform. People don't have to they don't know what to expect. So once this has been built upon, been developed upon, they'll become a standard. And of course, when you play one that comes out around the month after release, you're going to know which one's good and which one's bad, but you're not going to know which one's great yet. And that's just anytime that, and with these console games, like, yeah, PS4, Xbox One came out great. It was a new console, it was better graphics, blah, blah, blah. I know what to expect of those. These I don't, and that's why I'm so excited for it, is because I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea what kind of creativity can go behind this and what things can be developed for it and all the different platforms it's going to take on, just in creative tools and gaming tools and educational utilization, just everything. There's so many possibilities behind it. I mean, people are doing stuff with the Kinect still, the Xbox 360's Kinect too, not even the Xbox One, the Xbox 360's Kinect camera that baffle me. There's a zoo that is allowing, or not allowing, I mean, I guess they can do whatever they want, but with monkeys, but they can't, I mean, not anything they want with monkeys.
Shut up and take all my money.
Yeah, they're actually using the Kinect to allow orangutans to play video games. So they're using like facial recognition paint on the orangutan themselves, and then giving the monkey a screen in front of them, and they're actually learning how to play video games with the Kinect because they don't have to use hands or any type of controller platform to actually have to have opposable thumbs to react to certain things. Which that has no placement in VR, of course, but that's just an example of this third-party application that no one expected out of it and no one thought was going to be utilization, but it's something that's cool like that. Taking it a step further, somebody, let's say, a kid is paralyzed from the waist down and he gets to play a VR game where he designs himself in this mirror, and then he gets to walk around and experience life. Like how, that is something that is amazing to me, and that he can then experience life how he has always wanted to, and that's all possible through VR. So, Seth, what's a favorite game of yours that you would like to see done in virtual reality?
Oh, dude, that's a tough one. Yeah, definitely Dead Space and Doom 3.
Dead Space would be incredible in VR. Just walking around that, oh god, that would be eerie as hell. Because honestly, like Dead Space 1 was terrifying, but then Dead Space 2 and 3 kind of felt like third-person action games to me more than they did horror games.
2 is pretty terrifying too, but 3 just kind of lost its touch because, hey, let's add multiplayer to it and just ruin the whole, scariness to it.
Yeah, they added that co-op element, and then it became like Resident Evil 5 in the fact that it was not scary anymore, and it just became...
I liked Resident Evil 5, but it wasn't scary. They just ruined it with Resident Evil 6. That was awful.
I don't think any of the Resident Evils are scary, personally. I don't think zombies are scary. I think...
4 gave me a little jump scares here to there, but it wasn't scary. Unlike Silent Hill.
Silent Hill is terrifying. Can you imagine Silent Hill, just like we were saying, that demo in VR would be, oh my god, that would be terrifying. And just even taking, like, I guarantee you, people are going to get a hold of older games and make them into virtual reality. Like Silent Hill 2 in VR? Fuck no. Fuck that. I don't think so. Fucking count me out. That would be just the worst. And having like, because you have this headset over your head and you've got the headphones on, so the sound is HD quality in your ears to go along with what you're seeing, and just hearing that from the radio.
Or you could just hear all those creepy sounds in the background.
Just fuck that, dude. That would just be the worst. Now I did see too, speaking of older games using virtual reality, that someone had redesigned Pokemon in 3D, like the older Pokemon games, but having that in virtual reality would be really cool.
Yes, that would be badass.
But they'll just have to learn how to take old beloved games, whether they're top down, third person, over the shoulder, whatever, and make them first person. So one hilarious application of VR that I think all of us saw coming would be VR porn.
Oh boy,
I'm down for that.
So I have personally looked up several VR porn videos because I wanted to, quote unquote, educate myself. And a lot of them are just first person experiences with porn stars that you already know if you frequent porn websites at all. And then the really interesting thing, well, they basically play out the scenarios. Do you want to have, this girl give you a blowjob or jerk you off? And so that's what they do. And then you choose, and then you look around with your headset and blah, blah, blah. But this company has taken that a step further, and it had an Indiegogo page that got crashed from the number of orders it's gotten for this thing. The company is Virtual Dolls. So, the device is Virtual Dolls. The company's EOS, which I'm not even sure what that stands for, probably Erection on Site. And they've created this controller. They call it a controller. It's basically a fleshlight that's activated by certain sex aspects in the game. It raised $7,000 in just 5 days out of its $20,000 goal. It's going to smash that. Basically, they've made it into kind of a game where you can skip the game altogether and just go straight to the sex stuff. But it's this controller that you can stick your dick in, and it's like a silicone sleeve. And depending on what they're doing in the game, so like, so she's blowing you, it's going to create a suction feeling, and it's going to match the actions of the character in the game. So if she's going down really fast, it's going to replicate that action on this controller. And they're just going to, can you think of the possibilities of things that people are going to live out that they wouldn't have been able to without virtual reality?
Oh my god. Well, it's almost where we get into like the dystopian aspect of virtual reality. Like porn addiction is gonna fucking skyrocket. Let me tell you that. I mean, sure. You're never gonna see me again. I mean, holy shit.
Me either. I'll be in my room for the rest of my life.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Forever and ever and ever.
So with something like this, utilization where you basically stick your dick inside of a virtual sleeve and it tugs on it as per whatever they're doing on the screen, you would think that, it's kind of a joke and it's kind of funny, but the first person that actually nails this, that actually gets it down and gets this basically virtual reality sex down, is going to be a millionaire. Would you not agree with that?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. He's going to be the next, what's the name? Hugh Hefner. He's going to be the next fucking playboy of the internet.
He will be the playboy of the internet. Absolutely agreed. Just already looking at it's hit its, $7,000 in 5 days is incredible for something that came out of nowhere. And it's kind of piggybacking off the success of the Oculus Rift, but being able to utilize that in a form that, while we said some of it would have been educational, this is not.
It's going to be educational in its own way.
They could teach you about anatomy. But so the jokes aside, away from the virtual dolls and all that stuff, which I'll post links to our websites if you guys if you want to contribute to the campaign of their Indiegogo, you can. If you want to see this come to light, and if you want to reserve a copy of your own sex robot, I suppose you can do that too. But so, Mark, I know you're not going to be getting one. Seth, you're not going to be getting one. Is price a huge factor in that for you?
No. Not at all.
You mean just in general, or about the fuck robot?
Not the fuck robot. The Oculus Rift in general. The reason that you're not getting one is because of price. Is that your main stipulant?
Price would be a big thing. I would just have to have some proof that it was worth buying. If I had proof that it was worth buying for $600, yeah, I'd drop $600 for it.
That's fair.
I gotta see it in action first. I could see if it's as good as everyone is hoping that it is. I could see it totally being worth $600. Is the thing. But do I believe that it's gonna be that good right from the get go? No.
Yes.
Fuck you, Seth.
I agree. It's probably not going to be that great from the get-go. But again, what do we have it to base off of? What is our frame of reference on what virtual reality gaming should be? We don't have that yet, so we're kind of starting new here, which is it's a good thing for the medium in general. And I don't know if the price is the biggest stipulant, as also we were talking about before, having to have a really high-end gaming PC to be able to run the programs that you need for this could become an issue in itself. But I think with that out of the way, I just think that everyone, if the price wasn't such an issue for everybody, which I understand that gaming's main audience is probably young adult and they haven't established their lives yet, so income, being able to fork over $600 isn't easy. But I think once people get this inside of their homes and realize what it could be, it's going to be something that's truly incredible. So the actual Oculus Rift itself comes out on the 28th of next month. So March 28th, it's the official street release date, which is incredible because we've been talking about this for 2 years. And just the fact that it's finally seeing light. I will definitely be getting one. You guys are more than welcome to come try it out. I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be the next step in gaming. And that is just going to be an incredible experience overall. And it's just going to be an incredible step forward in the leap of technologies that we need, that everyone I think needs. Unfortunately, when an art form hits its peak as quickly as I feel video games have, being able to be refreshed as a medium, I think, is something that they're in desperate need of. The medium, we know what it is. It's a controller. It's video interactivity. We're all used to what that is, and we have all played it. I just think it's about that time for some new light to be shed upon gaming, and hopefully have it be taken a little bit more seriously than it has just as a hobby. This can be something that can turn into something incredible, especially with the education applications, being able to do like virtual surgery and stuff like that. But thank you all for listening to the very first podcast from Vulgarity Gaming. There will be many more to come, I'm sure. And then everything that you need to know about us and the website is on the website, which is about to be finished. So I will publish that alongside of this. You'll actually be listening to this podcast on our website when it's done, so that won't even matter. But when our website's finished, you'll be listening to it on there. So thank you all very much.